What if your cat has been trying to tell you something for years and you never noticed? That stare, that strange meow, the way they suddenly rub against you or disappear into silence. None of it is random. Cats may seem mysterious, but the truth is, they're constantly sending signals. And once you understand them, you may never look at your cat the same way again. Most cat owners think they know their pet pretty well, until their cat starts doing something oddly specific and impossible to explain. A long stare, a sudden tail movement, a different kind of meow, a habit that seems cute, weird, or even meaningless. But behind those small actions, there's often a message hiding in plain sight. In this video, you're going to discover 7 signs your cat may be using to communicate with you. Signs that almost no one notices until it's too late. Some of them are subtle, some are emotional. And one of them might be happening in your home every single day without you realizing what it truly means. Have you ever felt like your cat was trying to say something, but in a language no one ever taught you to understand? Because the truth is, cats are communicating all the time. Not in obvious ways, not like dogs, and definitely not in ways most people expect. That's exactly why so many owners miss the signs completely. They think a stare is just a stare. A meow is just noise. A strange habit is just another one of those cat things. But it's not that simple. Your cat is constantly giving clues about what they feel, what they want, and even how they see you. And once you start noticing those clues, something changes. You stop seeing random behavior and start seeing intention. That's what makes this so fascinating, because some of the signs your cat uses are incredibly subtle. They happen in everyday moments, in gestures so small that most people ignore them without a second thought. But hidden inside those tiny behaviors is a message. Sometimes it's affection, sometimes it's trust, sometimes it's a warning, and sometimes your cat is trying to get your attention in a way that feels almost invisible unless you know what to look for. And the first sign is one of the most misunderstood of all. It happens when your cat looks at you in total silence. Not for 1 second, not by accident, but with that still, focused stare that makes you wonder what's going on in their mind. A lot of people get uncomfortable when this happens. Some think the cat is judging them, others think it means nothing. But in many cases, that look is one of the clearest signals your cat can give. Because when a cat stares at you, the meaning depends on everything around that moment. Sometimes that stare is pure attention. Your cat is studying you, reading your mood, your movement, your energy. Cats are far more observant than most people realize. They notice patterns, routines, emotional shifts. Before you even speak, your cat may already sense whether you're calm, tense, distracted, or sad. And that silent stare can be their way of checking in. But that's not the only reason. Sometimes your cat stares because they want something and have learned that looking at you is the fastest way to pull you in. Food, a door open, a clean litter box, a little affection, or simply your response. And once a cat realizes that eye contact gets results, they use it more than people think. But here's where it gets deeper. There are moments when that stare is not about a need, but about connection. When your cat looks at you calmly, without tension in the body, without puffed fur, without a rigid posture, they may be showing trust in one of the quietest ways possible. Especially if that stare comes with a slow blink, and that changes everything. Because that small movement, the one most people almost never notice, can reveal far more than a meow ever could. And once you understand what that blink really means, you start to realize your cat may have been showing love in silence this whole time. The next sign is even more personal. If the stare is the signal most people notice, the next one is the one that reveals the most. Because a cat can look at many things. A sound, a movement, a shadow on the wall. But when your cat slowly closes their eyes while looking at you, that is something entirely different. At first, it seems too small to matter. A soft blink, a calm expression, no sound, no drama, no obvious gesture. And that's exactly why so many people miss it. But in the world of cats, closing their eyes around someone is not random at all. It means they feel safe enough to lower their guard. And for a cat, that is huge. Cats are naturally alert animals. Even when they seem relaxed, a part of them is always paying attention. They scan, they listen, they stay ready. So when your cat looks at you and slowly blinks, they are doing something deeply vulnerable in their own language. They are saying without sound, "I feel safe with you." That changes the meaning of the moment completely, because what looks like nothing may actually be one of the purest signs of trust your cat can give. live. They are not just relaxing near you, they are emotionally lowering their defenses in your presence. And cats do not do that lightly. This is why some people call it a cat kiss. Not because it's cute, but because it carries something intimate, gentle, and real. It's one of the rare moments when a cat shows affection in the quiet way that feels most natural to them. No need for noise. No need for big gestures. Just one slow blink that says more than most people will ever realize. And here's what makes this even more powerful. Many cats do it when they are comfortable, bonded, and completely at ease with the person in front of them. Which means if your cat has ever done this to you, even once, there's a good chance they were expressing something much deeper than simple calm. They were showing emotional trust, but most owners never respond to it. They see it, maybe smile, maybe ignore it, and the moment passes. What they don't realize is that they can answer back, and when they do, something beautiful can happen. If you slowly blink back at your cat gently and without forcing the moment, some cats understand it immediately. It becomes a silent conversation, a tiny exchange of trust that strengthens the bond without a single sound. That's what makes cats so fascinating. They are always speaking, just not in the loud ways people expect. And once you notice this sign, it becomes impossible to unsee. You start realizing that your cat may have been telling you, "I trust you," for a long time, and you simply didn't know how to hear it. But not every sign of affection looks this calm. Sometimes the next signal is louder, more physical, and happens so often that people mistake it for a habit when it can actually mean much more. And the next one might be happening every time your cat rubs against you. At first it feels simple. Your cat walks toward you, circles your legs, presses their face against your hand, or rubs the side of their body against you like it's just another part of the routine. Most people see it as a quick greeting, something casual, something automatic, but for a cat, that movement can carry a meaning far deeper than it seems. Because when a cat rubs against you, they are not just touching you, they are leaving something behind. Cats have scent glands around their cheeks, forehead, and body, which means that when they rub against a person, they are often marking them in the gentlest way possible, not to claim ownership in a cold or controlling sense, but to create familiarity, belonging, connection. In the cat's world, scent is memory, safety, and emotional recognition. So when your cat rubs on you, they may be saying, "You are part of my space, part of my comfort, part of what feels known," and that changes everything, because this isn't just physical affection. It's emotional inclusion. Your cat is mixing you into their world through scent, and that matters more than most owners realize. To a cat, the things that smell familiar feel safer. That's why they rub on furniture, corners, blankets, and favorite places. So when they do the same to you, it can mean they are placing you in that same circle of trust. And the more often they do it, the more revealing it becomes. Some cats rub against you when you come home, almost like they're reintroducing your scent into the shared space. Others do it when they want closeness, comfort, or reassurance. And sometimes, right before they rub against you, they lift their tail, lean in, and approach with a softness that says more than any dramatic display ever could. This is one of the quiet reasons cats can seem distant to people who don't understand them, while actually being deeply affectionate in their own way, because their love is often hidden inside these small rituals. A rub against your ankle, a head bump against your hand, a soft pass along your leg while you're standing in the kitchen. It looks ordinary, but for your cat, it may be a form of bonding repeated again and again in the most natural language they have. And yet even this sign has layers, because sometimes your cat isn't just showing affection when they rub against you. Sometimes they are also asking for something: attention, food, interaction, a response. Cats are smart enough to connect behavior with outcomes, and many of them learn that rubbing is one of the fastest ways to draw you in, which means this gesture can be both emotional and intentional at the same time. That's what makes cats so hard to read if you only look at the surface. The same behavior can hold warmth, trust, need, and habit all at once. And the more you pay attention to the moment around it, the more clearly you start to understand what your cat is really trying to say. But there's another signal that confuses people even more, because sometimes the cat that loves you most doesn't come closer. Sometimes they follow you. And that next sign reveals a kind of attachment many people completely misunderstand. Some cats stay close in ways you can see. Others stay close in ways you only notice when you stop and look. back. They follow you to the kitchen, wait outside the bathroom, sit nearby while you work, move from room to room without making much noise, always appearing a few seconds after you do. And because they're not always asking for attention in those moments, many people assume it means nothing, just curiosity, just coincidence, just a cat wandering around the house. But very often it means much more than that, because when your cat keeps following you, especially in calm and ordinary moments, they may be showing a kind of attachment that is easy to miss precisely because it doesn't look dramatic. They are choosing your presence again and again, not always to be touched, not always to play. Sometimes simply to be near you, and that choice says a lot. Cats are independent by nature, which is why this behavior matters so much. They don't usually stay close out of obligation. If they keep appearing wherever you are, it often means your presence has become part of their emotional comfort. You are not just the person who fills the food bowl. You are part of their sense of safety, routine, and stability. That is why some cats quietly follow their favorite person through the house like a shadow, not because they are needy in the way people often imagine, but because closeness itself has meaning to them. Sometimes they sit just far enough away to still watch you. Sometimes they lie down in the same room without asking for anything. Sometimes they leave, then come back just to check where you are. And in those little movements, your cat may be revealing something deeply important. They feel better when you are nearby. But here's the part most people misunderstand. Following you does not always mean the same thing. Sometimes it's affection, sometimes it's curiosity, sometimes it's expectation. Your cat may have learned that when you move, something interesting happens. Food appears, a door opens, a blanket gets adjusted, a quiet room becomes available. Cats pay attention to routines, and many of them begin to follow the person who seems most connected to the rhythm of the home. But even then, the emotional layer is still there, because cats do not build those patterns around just anyone. If your cat repeatedly chooses to be where you are, especially when there is no obvious reward, that is often a sign of trust and attachment in one of its purest forms. They may not jump into your arms, they may not meow constantly, but they are telling you something with their presence. I want to be where you are. And once you realize that, those small moments stop feeling ordinary. The cat waiting outside the door, the quiet body on the couch while you fold laundry, the soft footsteps behind you late at night. None of that is random when it keeps happening. It is one more way your cat stays connected without making a scene. But there's a signal even more confusing than this one, because sometimes, instead of following you, your cat suddenly bites you. And what that means is not always what people think. The next sign can feel affectionate 1 second and shocking the next. A bite can feel like the most confusing message of all. 1 second, your cat is close to you, maybe rubbing against your hand, enjoying the attention, looking completely calm, and then suddenly, without warning, they bite you. Not always hard, sometimes just enough to make you freeze. Enough to make you ask the same question almost every cat owner asks at some point. Why would a cat bite someone they seem to love? Because in many cases, that bite is not aggression, it's communication. And this is where so many people get it wrong. Cats often use small bites as a boundary signal, especially when they are overstimulated. What started as pleasant touch can slowly become too much, too intense, or simply longer than they wanted. The problem is, humans usually miss the earlier signs. A twitch in the tail, a shift in the ears, a slight tension in the body, a pause that changes the mood. And when those quieter warnings go unnoticed, the bite becomes the message your cat uses to make the limit impossible to ignore. That doesn't mean your cat turned against you. It means they tried to communicate in softer ways first, and the moment passed unnoticed. This is why some bites seem to come out of nowhere, when, in reality, your cat may have been speaking the whole time through body language. Most people never learn to read, and once you understand that, the bite stops looking random. It starts looking like the final sentence in a conversation that began much earlier. But that's only one side of it, because not every bite means stop. Some cats give tiny, controlled nibbles during affectionate moments. Not to hurt, not to attack, but as part of an emotional interaction that is rougher, stranger, and more instinctive than human affection usually is. It can happen while grooming you, while licking your hand, or while being close in an almost playful mood. In those moments, the bite may be less about rejection and more about intensity, a feeling your cat doesn't know how to express in a gentler, human-friendly way. That's what makes this sign so easy to misunderstand. The same mouth that bites in irritation can also nibble in affection. The difference is in the body, the pressure, the context, and the pattern around it. That's why understanding your cat is never about judging one action alone. It's about reading the whole moment, and once you do, something important changes. You stop asking, why is my cat acting weird? And you start asking, what was my cat trying to tell me before this happened? That question opens a completely different relationship, because the cats that seem the hardest to read are often the ones communicating the most. They're just doing it in signals so subtle, so fast, and so layered that most people only notice the final reaction, and the next sign reveals something even more emotional than a stare, a blink, or a bite. Because sometimes, the clearest message your cat gives you is not when they come close. It's where they choose to sleep, and that can reveal more about trust than most owners ever imagine. Where your cat sleeps is never as random as it looks. To most people, it just seems like preference. A warm blanket, the corner of the bed, the top of the couch, a chair near the window. But when a cat repeatedly chooses to sleep on you, next to you, or in places deeply connected to your presence, that choice can reveal something far more emotional than comfort alone. Because sleep is one of the most vulnerable states a cat can be in. A sleeping cat is less alert, less guarded, less prepared to react. So when your cat chooses to rest near you, especially in deep and repeated ways, they may be telling you something powerful without making a sound. I trust this space because you are in it. And that matters more than most owners realize. Cats don't just sleep where it feels soft. They often sleep where it feels safe. That's why some of them choose the bed, your clothes, your pillow, your lap, or the exact spot where you usually sit. Your scent is there. Your routine is there. Your energy is familiar there, and for a cat, familiar often means protected. That's also why this behavior can feel so personal. When your cat sleeps on top of you, it may look adorable, but beneath that moment, there's often a deeper message. They are not only enjoying your warmth, they are settling into one of the places that feels most secure to them. In their mind, closeness to you lowers uncertainty. It gives them a sense of stability that they may not find just anywhere else in the house. And when a cat chooses to sleep near your head, near your feet, or pressed against your body, the meaning can be even more layered. Sometimes it's warmth, sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's a strategic place where they can rest and still stay aware. But very often it's also emotional attachment, because cats build strong associations with the people who make them feel safe. And sleep exposes that truth in a way many daytime behaviors don't. A cat may seem distant while awake, independent while moving through the house, almost unreadable in ordinary moments. But where they choose to fully relax can quietly reveal who they trust most. That's why some of the strongest bonds show up at night, in the silence, in the routine, in the places your cat returns to again and again. And once you start paying attention to that, a sleeping position stops being just a cute habit. It becomes a clue, a sign, a form of silent loyalty that doesn't need drama to be real. But there is still one signal left that many owners completely overlook, because sometimes your cat does try to speak to you in the most obvious way possible, through the sound of their voice, and the meaning behind that sound may be far more personal than you think. The final sign is one almost every cat owner hears, but very few truly understand, and that final sign is the one most people think they already understand. The meow. It seems obvious, almost too obvious to matter. After all, cats meow all the time, right? But the truth is, many cats don't use meowing the same way with other cats as they do with humans. Which means when your cat meows at you, especially in specific tones, rhythms, or moments, it may be one of the most direct forms of communication they have. Your cat is not just making noise. They are trying to reach you. Sometimes the meow is short and soft, almost like a check-in. Sometimes it's longer, louder, more insistent because the need feels urgent. Food, attention, confusion, loneliness, discomfort, excitement. All of it can come through the voice. And the more you live with your cat, the more you begin to notice that not all meows mean the same thing. That's why experienced cat owners often say, I can tell what my cat wants just by the sound. Because over time, patterns appear. There's the meow your cat uses when they greet you, the one they use when they want something immediately, the one that sounds different at night, the one that feels almost emotional when they can't find you and suddenly call out. And once you notice those differences, something becomes impossible to ignore. Your cat has had a voice all along. Not a human voice, not a simple one, but a real voice shaped by habit, need, trust, and connection. That's what this entire video has really been about. Not just strange behaviors, not just cute habits, but a deeper truth most people miss. Your cat is always communicating in the stare that lingers, in the slow blink, in the rub against your leg, in the quiet way they follow you from room to room, in the bite that sets a boundary, in the place they choose to sleep, and finally in the sound they use when they want to be heard. The difference is not whether your cat is speaking, the difference is whether you know how to listen. And maybe that's why so many people feel closer to their cat after understanding these signs. Because once you stop seeing your cat as mysterious and start seeing them as expressive, everything changes. The bond feels deeper. The small moments feel bigger, and the things that once seemed random suddenly feel personal. So if your cat does any of these signs, comment below which one happens the most in your home. And if this video helped you understand your cat in a whole new way, like the video, subscribe, and share it with another cat owner who needs to see this.